I messed up on my wedding night. Being a consort isn't as good as being a salted fish. Red candles burned high. A scene of auspicious dragons and phoenixes. My husband in name only. Prince Qin, Xiao Qingji, the emperor's younger brother. He didn't even lift my bridal veil from behind the embroidered screen. His voice was as cold as shards of ice on a winter river. Lady Shen, since you've entered the prince's manor, just behave yourself and follow the rules. I am busy with state affairs. Do not disturb me for trivial matters. And then, he was gone. I ripped off my veil. Wow, what a grand intimidation tactic. Fine. It suits my plans perfectly. My father, a lowly official, did everything he could to send me here as a side consort. For what? Prince Qin is the brother the emperor relies on most. He might climb even higher in the future. They are quite calculating. Why should I be their stepping stone? Since the prince wants me to behave and follow rules, I will carry that out to the fullest. I'll behave by doing absolutely nothing. From then on, the small courtyard in the west corner became my happy little salted fish den. I ate whatever the kitchen sent. Never being picky, I wore the standard clothes provided for the seasons. Enough for my basic needs and comfort. I saved every penny of my allowance. My biggest worry was which stone slab was the warmest to bask on when the sun was out. Life was as peaceful as a cup of plain water. Until that day. The manor's butler, Uncle Fu, led a round little ball of flesh, puffing and puffing into my courtyard. The little ball of flesh was about 3 or 4 years old, wearing a silk jacket embroidered with golden kirans. His cheeks were as puffy as freshly steamed buns. A pair of big eyes like black grapes stared at me inquisitively. Consort Shen, this is the little heir, Xiao Qiming. My eyelid twitched. I knew Xiao Qiming. He was the eldest son of Prince Qin, Xiao Qingji. His mother was the late first consort, who passed away during a difficult labor. Why did this little ancestor end up in my remote corner? The prince says that you are of a quiet nature and have nothing to do. The little heir is at a mischievous age and needs someone steady to look after him. From today on, we'll trouble you to care for him. A bolt from the blue. The terminator of my salted fish lifestyle has arrived. But this doesn't seem right, does it? I'm young and inexperienced. The prince ordered it. He says you are the most well-behaved and law-abiding. Uncle Fu shook his head like a rattle. He emphasized those 4 words specifically. Xiao Qingji, you are ruthless. To dump this hot potato on me, and use my own words against me, looking at this ignorant, round little ball about to ruin my peaceful life. I took a deep breath. Fine, raising a kid, right? Doing it live, right? The salted fish consort is forced into service. Little heir Xiao Qiming lived up to his reputation. Though it wasn't immediately clear what that reputation was. He was a walking firecracker of infinite energy, with staggering destructive power. During the midday meal, he stared at the plate on the table. Translucent crystal shrimp dumplings. Drool was dripping, and then, the grab. His chubby little hand snatched them with lightning speed. He hit the whole plate of dumplings, and dumplings and juice together landed right on his expensive silk jacket. Soup was dripping everywhere. He froze for 2 seconds, then his mouth puckered. A soul-piercing scream followed. His nanny, Madame Zhang, was scared out of her wits. She rushed forward to wipe his clothes. The little guy wiggled like a loach. His crying shook the heavens. I covered my ringing ears and walked over. I didn't coddle or coax him. I just crouched down in front of him. I looked into those teary, grape-like eyes. The dumplings fell. The clothes are dirty. Is crying going to help? He looked at me blankly, giving a tearful hiccup. It's useless. Crying won't bring the dumplings back. Crying won't make the clothes clean. Crying will only make your face hurt. He instinctively touched his little cheek. It did seem a bit tight. The crying stopped completely. Prepare warm water and clean clothes. Stand up and go wash yourself. I stood up, giving instructions to Madame Zhang, then looked back at him. The little guy had probably never been treated like this. He was dazed. But miraculously, he pushed himself off the ground and stood up, wobbling. Looking back every 3 steps, he was led away by Madame Zhang. When Madame Zhang returned, she looked at me like I was a monster. Consort, you're amazing. The little heir has never been this obedient. I picked up my tea and took a sip, chuckling internally. This was nothing. Step 1 for dealing with a brat. Be reasonable, regardless of whether he understands. Use declarative sentences to state facts so he knows that throwing a fit solves nothing. After only 2 days of peace, my little ancestor Qiming caused another big mess. Somehow, he snuck into the prince's, Xiao Qingji's study. Supposedly, that was forbidden ground in the manor. Even a mosquito flying in had to be registered. Inside hung a painting bestowed by the emperor, the 10,000 miles of rivers and mountains. A genuine masterpiece by a famous artist of the previous dynasty. It was priceless. Xiao Qingji treasured it more than his own eyes. Yet Qiming, with his chubby hands, grabbed a piece of charcoal from who knows where. And on that majestic map of the empire, he drew a crooked, hideously ugly giant turtle. He even thoughtfully added next to the turtle's head a few circles for bubbles, likely meaning the turtle was blowing bubbles. When Xiao Qingji returned from court and stepped into his study, his face turned green on the spot, greener than the banana leaves in the imperial garden. Consort, it's terrible. The little heir drew a turtle on the emperor's gift when Uncle Fu rushed into my yard, practically crawling. His voice was trembling. My heart skipped a beat. Oh boy, this time we've really blown it. I scooped up Qiming, who was busy poking an anthill with a stick. Oblivious to the disaster had caused, I carried him like a little chick, leading him outside the murderous-looking study. Xiao Qingji stood before the desk, his back as tense as a drawn bow. The ravaged 10,000 miles of rivers and mountains was spread out on the massive desk. The ugly turtle was facing the door, as if silently mocking Qiming. Qiming probably felt the atmosphere was wrong, so he tucked his neck in and hid behind my legs. I bit the bullet and walked in. My lord, is this the result of your care? An imperial treasure ruined in an instant. Do you know how grave this crime is? Xiao Qingji spun around suddenly. Those cold, starlight-like eyes locked onto my face. His finger trembled as he pointed at the painting. The air pressure in the study was low enough to freeze someone. Uncle Fu and Madame Zhang knelt, shaking like sieves. Qiming's little face turned pale with fear, tightly clutching the hem of my skirt. My mind raced. Apologizing was useless. Shifting blame was even stupider. In a flash of inspiration, I caught a glimpse of the corner of the desk, seeing several children's picture books, likely left there by Qiming before. I took a deep breath. I didn't beg for mercy. Instead, I took 2 steps forward, approached the desk, and pointed at the ugly turtle. Please calm yourself, my lord. Allow me to say a few words. Qiming is young and ignorant. It is my fault for not looking after him well. I am solely responsible. But my lord, look, the heir was not acting out of pure malice. Doodling on an imperial gift, is that not destruction? My lord, look at these bubbles. The heir drew circles. Though the lines are wobbly, he tried to make them complete. It shows he understands the concept of a circle. And look at this turtle shape. Head, body, and limbs, the anatomy is distinct. He was imitating a turtle from his books. He wasn't trying to destroy a treasure, but rather, in his own innocent way, he was expressing the world through his eyes. The study fell silent, you could hear a pin drop. Xiao Qingji stared at me, then looked at the ugly turtle on the painting. His expression was a mix of shock and doubt. Uncle Fu and Madame Zhang forgot to shake. Their mouths hung open. Qiming seemingly understood I was praising him. His little head peeked out from behind my leg. He looked at his father curiously. Are you saying he's learning? Yes, the heir is naturally lively and full of curiosity. Ordinary, rigid lessons can't capture his mind. He needs a different path to learn through play. If my lord trusts me, this painting might still be saved. How? My lord, please grant me brush and ink. It's worth a try. Xiao Qingji's gaze was sharp as a blade. He looked me up and down several times. Finally, he coldly spat out one word, granted. Uncle Fu scrambled to bring the supplies. I walked to the desk, spread the painting, and steeled myself. I dipped my brush into green pigment, and around that ugly turtle, I sketched elegant rocks and a few branches of ancient pine. Then I used blue and ochre to render a deep pool of water. The turtle that was once glaringly ugly and out of place instantly swam into a small, serene, cool pond. It became an old turtle amidst rocks and pines, leisurely looking up at the sky, though it didn't hide its original ugliness. The artistic mood was suddenly elevated. It even had a certain charm of returning to simplicity. I set down the brush. My palms were covered in sweat. The study fell into a deathly silence again. Xiao Qingji walked to the desk, leaning down to stare at the transformed painting. He looked for a long time, so long that I thought he was about to order me dragged out for a flogging. He finally straightened up, his gaze resting on my face with extreme complexity. It was no longer just anger and coldness. There was scrutiny, investigation, and a hint of indescribable surprise. You understand painting? My father once worked as a painting mounting scout. I learned a few things by observation. Just the basics. Xiao Qingji said nothing. He looked at the painting again, then looked at Qiming, who was huddled by my leg. The boy seemed to think the added things made it prettier, and was grinning happily. The coldness on the prince's face faded bit by bit, finally turning into an ambiguous cold snort. Take him back. If there's a next time, I'll bring my head to you. I interrupted immediately. Xiao Qingji glanced at me and waved his hand as if granting a pardon. I scooped up Qiming, who still wanted to touch the old turtle, and quickly left that suffocating study. After this incident, my little ancestor Qiming was completely stuck to me. Xiao Qingji was also there, and my quiet courtyard was officially upgraded to the manor kindergarten. Qiming was like a piece of sticky rice glue. Wherever I went, he followed. His destructive power was still there, but he seemed to have turned a corner. At least under my unconventional teaching. For example, he plucked the newly bloomed 18 scholars, a rare variety of camellia, leaving the bush bald. He brought a pile of petals to me like a treasure. I didn't scold him. I sat him down and arranged the petals by shade. From deep crimson to pale white, they covered the table. Look, Qiming, this is red. Different shades of red. The flowers are gone, but they will bloom again next spring. He looked thoughtful. A few days later, he pointed at the sunset and shouted, red. Then pointed at fallen petals. Bloom again. Though the grammar was off, Madame Zhang was so moved she almost cried. The air. The air can recognize colors. And he knows flowers will bloom again. For instance, he no longer ran wild chasing butterflies. Instead, head crouched by an anthill for half a day, using little twigs to build bridges for them, muttering, cross the bridge. Qiming, what are the ants doing? ID occasionally crouched beside him. He pointed at a worker ant carrying a grain of rice, storing food for winter. Very hard-working. Like Uncle Fu counting the warehouse, like Nanny washing clothes. Hard-working. He nodded as if he understood. The next day, Madame Zhang was surprised to find that he had arranged his cloth tigers neatly by the pillow. The air knows how to tidy up his things. My salted fish parenting routine somehow spread among the manor's servants. The rumors grew more legendary, saying I had the Midas touch, able to enlighten even a little devil. Even the way Uncle Fu looked at me became filled with genuine respect. The news grew wings, eventually flying over the palace walls. That afternoon, I was lazily reclining in a rattan chair. Qiming was lying on a mat at my feet, using a special setup ID made for him, burlap that showed watermarks and a water pen to draw the strange world in his eyes. The gate was silently pushed open. A flash of bright imperial yellow appeared. I was startled, nearly rolling off the rattan chair. The emperor, Xiao Chengji's older brother, Qiming's uncle. Why was he here? I scrambled up to kneel. The emperor, who shared a similar name to the prince but different characters, waved his hand to stop me. His gaze landed directly on Qiming on the ground. His eyes were gentle, filled with the love of an elder. Uncle Emperor. Qiming looked up, saw the emperor, and his eyes lit up. He dropped the pen and scrambled up to hug him. You've gotten heavier. It seems Lady Shen has raised you well. The emperor laughed as he picked him up. What were you doing? Drawing. Qiming pointed proudly at the cloth. The emperor walked over with him to take a look. The drawings were so abstract that even Picasso would lose. Blobs of ink were probably flowers. Twisted lines were probably bugs. The emperor couldn't make heads or tails of it. But his smile didn't fade. Qiming drew so well. Tell your uncle emperor. What color is this flower? Red. Qiming pointed at a dark blob. Pink. Then he pointed at a lighter one. The emperor's eyes flashed with surprise. He looked at me. He actually knows colors? Replying to your majesty, just a little. The air is sensitive to color. And what about this bug? Hardworking. Storing food. Qiming answered loudly. The emperor was completely stunned. He held Qiming, looked at the drawings on the ground, then looked at me, standing there looking very modest. His gaze became deep. Lady Shen, I heard Qiming has made great progress with you. Your majesty overpraises me. The air is naturally brilliant. I merely follow his nature and guide him slightly. Follow his nature, the emperor repeated thoughtfully. He looked at Qiming's bright, curious eyes, then at this humble yet vibrant courtyard. Finally, his gaze fell on me. Qingji certainly found a good place for Qiming. Not long after the emperor left, a decree, gentle in wording but firm in authority, was delivered by the chief eunuch. It stated the Prince Qin's heir, Xiao Qiming, was gifted, but required early guidance. Consort Shen was noted for her quiet virtue and her understanding of early education. She was to remain by the heir's side to raise and teach him, so ordered. After the decree, the entire manor went silent. Xiao Chengji's expression, well, it was like a spilled paint palette. He probably never imagined in his wildest dreams that the hot potato he tossed away would not only not burn me, but give me a golden imperial career. Now, my job of raising a kid as a salted fish consort went from a manor task to an imperial mandate. The pressure was high, but it was fine. Raising a kid by decree is hard work, and Chiming was still my biggest trouble. The only disruptor of my lazy life. But watching him change day by day, from a mindless little firecracker to a boy who points at clouds and says they look like cotton candy, who crouches by puddles after rain to laugh at his own reflection, who, when I accidentally bump into a table corner, runs over to blow on my hand with his chubby hands, muttering, "Nanny, don't move." Somewhere in my heart, it felt warmed by this little sun. Turning soft, a salted fish is still a salted fish. Only now and then I flip over to sun the other side. The emperor's decree was like a giant rock in a pond. Calm on the surface, but with surging undercurrents. The first one to lose her cool was the other side consort, Lu Rian. True to her name, she was delicate like a willow in the wind. Her background was much higher than my father's. A proper lady from an official family. Supposedly, she entered the manor aiming for the position of first consort. She didn't get the title. And now she was being overshadowed by me, a salted fish. How could she be content? So, on a sunny afternoon, she brought over some carefully made cakes, supposedly made by a master chef from the south. She happened to stroll into my little courtyard, claiming to visit the heir. Chiming was lying on the ground, looking at a simple map ID drawn for him, using wooden blocks as carriages to play a game of traveling to the capital. He was muttering something. Lu Rian drifted in gracefully. A strong scent of perfume, instantly overpowering the dried osmanthus in my yard. Chiming wrinkled his nose and sneezed. "Little heir. See what I've brought you?" "Crystal cakes, they're very sweet." Lu Rian's voice was as sweet as honey. She crouched down. Chiming looked at the delicate cakes, then at his wooden carriages on the ground. He waved his chubby hand. A man of principle, he continued pushing his wooden blocks. The smile on Lu Rian's face stiffened. She remained crouched and looked up at me, her tone slightly critical. "Sister Shen, it's not that I want to lecture you, but the heir's status is noble. How can you always let him play with mud and wood? It's beneath his dignity." She took out a handkerchief, trying to wipe Kaiming's slightly dusty hands. "Look how dirty these little hands are." Chiming, like a cat whose tail was stepped on, jerked his hand back. He hid behind me, peeking his head out to glare at her warily. Lu Rian's hand froze in midair, looking embarrassed. "Sister Lu is very kind, but the heir is young, and this is the time for curiosity. Playing with blocks teaches him logic and coordination. Though currently he only knows how to coordinate with himself, it's perfectly fine." I slowly put down the cloth book I was sewing for him, filled with animal patterns and simple words. "Look, he already understands transport, and knows that good roads lead to prosperity. The concepts of the realm are already forming. Isn't this better than being locked in a room with dry books?" Lu Rian was speechless after my nonsense explanation. She probably thought I was crazy. I had elevated playing with mud to the level of national righteousness. She stood up, smoothed her impeccable skirt, and her smile turned cold. "Sister, you certainly have a silver tongue. No wonder you can please both the prince and those above. But the heir is the prince's foundation after all. He is meant to inherit the title in the future. If you keep letting him follow his nature like this, and he ends up only knowing how to play, ignorant of the path of sages, I will take responsibility for that." A cold, somber voice interrupted. At the courtyard entrance, Xiao Qingji stood there, unknown for how long, dressed in a deep black robe. His expression was unreadable. Lu Rian's face turned pale with fright. She hurriedly bowed. "My prince, I have entrusted the heir to Consort Shen. She has her own methods for his upbringing." Xiao Qingji didn't look at her. His gaze swept over the ground, then from the engrossed Chiming to my face. "Consort Lu, if you have time for such concerns, you should focus on copying scriptures to pray for the princess." The color instantly drained from Lu Rian's face. Copying scriptures. That was a tedious task given only to those who had made mistakes. Her eyes reddened, and she wanted to say more. But Xiao Qingji coldly said, "Leave." Lu Rian bit her lip, glared at me fiercely, but ultimately dared not disobey, and retreated in embarrassment. In the courtyard, only the three of us remained, along with Chiming, and the rolling sound of his wooden blocks. Xiao Qingji walked to Chiming and crouched down, watching the long, short, and crooked convoy he had built. "What are you doing?" "Catching the wicked people," Chiming said without looking up. Xiao Qingji was visibly stunned for a moment. He looked up at me. "Wicked people? Just a child's fancy." "Let him be," I said with an innocent look. Xiao Qingji was silent for a while, saying nothing more. He simply reached out, picked up a small wooden block, and gently placed it at the end of Kaiming's convoy. Well, after Lu Rian's defeated retreat, it was like a switch had been flipped. My salted fish courtyard somehow became the manor's model education base. First, the other consorts who usually had little presence came under the pretext of bringing toys or snacks to the heir, all seeking advice. They subtly asked how I was training the heir. I didn't have any secret methods. I could only repeat phrases like following nature and teaching through play over and over. They were left confused, probably thinking I was brushing them off. Later, even Butler Fu came sheepishly. He rubbed his hands, his old face flushing red. Consort Shen. This old servant has an unruly grandnephew, who's at the age of starting school but is incredibly naughty. I've come to boldly ask you for some advice. Fine. Considering he was the one who first brought Qiming here. Butler Fu, let the child recognize pictures first, then match the words to the pictures. If the characters are too big or complex, the child will find it tedious. Start with simple things they see around them. It's easier to understand and keeps them interested. I casually drew a few simple animal sketches, chickens, ducks, cats, and dogs, and wrote corresponding simple characters. Like big, small, many, few. Butler Fu treated them like treasures. Butler Fu treated them like treasures. Thanked me 1,000 times, and left. I thought that would be the end of it. Never did I imagine that a bigger surprise was coming. One afternoon, Xiao Qingji suddenly came to my courtyard. His expression was quite strange. He hesitated before saying, Shen, those drawings you gave to Butler Fu, my heart skipped a beat. Did those scraps of paper reach the prince's hands? Does he think I'm desecrating the written word and teaching the child wrong? Your servant just doodled them. They aren't anything proper. Just to help the child recognize common things, His Imperial Majesty, a few days ago at the Imperial Academy, tested the young princes on their lessons. The results were unsatisfactory. His Majesty was displeased and scolded the tutors for their rigid teaching methods as a waste of time. An ominous feeling rose in my heart. After His Majesty returned to the palace, somehow he heard about your methods for Qiming's education, and how Butler Fu's nephew's son used your method, and actually learned dozens of common characters. Xiao Qingji paused, his gaze turning even stranger. His Majesty has decreed that you enter the palace tomorrow. Enter the palace? My legs went weak. Yes, to go to the tutor's courtyard and speak to the old masters about your method of following nature and your approach to early childhood education. A bolt from the blue. A total shock. Sending me, a salted fish consort who just wants to lie flat, to the nation's highest academic institution to lecture the top Confucian scholars about how to play with mud with kids, watch ants, and draw turtles. Your Majesty, do you have some misunderstanding about education? The world went dark before my eyes. I seemed to see countless labels like heresy, misleading the masses, and desecrating sacred learning, flying toward me like a dark cloud, threatening to crush this salted fish into fish paste. My prince, your servant is terrified. I am not worthy, the decree is final. Those 4 words from Xiao Qingji blocked all my paths of retreat. Seeing my soul-shaken look, for some reason, he seemed in a slightly better mood. Don't worry, His Majesty only wants you to speak a bit. It's not like he's asking you to take the imperial exams. Those old scholars should hear a different voice for once. The next day, like a martyr heading to the execution ground, I wore the most formal consort attire and didn't dare look up, carrying my homemade cloth book filled with chickens, ducks, and crooked words in a low-key Prince Qin's carriage, and was carried into the palace walls. The destination, the side hall of Manhua Palace. Emperor Xiao Qingxian was not present, but the atmosphere was more oppressive than if he were. Sandalwood smoke curled up. Behind several sandalwood desks sat 3 elders with white hair and beards, wearing deep red or purple official robes. The 3 giants of the imperial tutor's courtyard, Tutor Li, Chancellor Wang, and Academician Zhang, each had a stern face and eyes as sharp as an eagle's. They didn't look at me like someone who came to lecture, but like someone who had intruded upon a sacred temple, an outlier who had defiled their refined space. The air was so thick it could be sliced. My palms were covered in sweat. I cursed the emperor and Xiao Qingji 100 times in my head. Consort Shen, His Majesty ordered you here to explain your method of educating children. We are all ears. I wouldn't dare. I only have some crude insights from looking after the heir. I heard that under your care, the heir does not read the classics, does not practice etiquette, and only knows how to play. Yet, somehow, his intellect has been awakened. The nearby Chancellor Wang stroked his long beard and spoke slowly. His words were barbed with the subtext, how can a commoner like you talk about education? I took a deep breath. I was going for it. Even a salted fish will jump over a wall if cornered. Lord Chancellor, the heir is young. His mind has not yet matured. The classics are profound, and etiquette rules are complex. To force-feed them is like pouring a huge bucket of water on a seedling. It is not only unhelpful but actually harmful. In that case, consort Shen, should we just let him play and waste his time? No. The key to education lies in stimulating interest. Interest can open even the hardest stone. I took out my tattered cloth book and spread it out. In a child's eyes, this is a common living creature in the courtyard. It crows loudly and has bright feathers. First, they see its shape and hear its sound. Then they learn the corresponding character. Sound and shape are combined, and it naturally enters the mind. It is 100 times better than rote memorization. I flipped to the page. Drawn with ants and food. Ants work together to move corn kernels. I ask him which is more and which is less. By eating less or more, the concepts of many and few become clear through play. This is not just playing, it is the beginning of the investigation of things to gain knowledge. The hall was silent. Only the sound of my own heart beating remained. The three elders stared at my crude cloth book. Their gazes shifted from initial disdain to gradual solemnity. This is something the heir treasures. At first, he only knew how to scribble and tear things. But by starting with things around him, going from simple to complex, and from form to meaning, and progressing gradually, he now knows over 100 common characters. He can even understand a bit of the 3-character classic. I teach the 1,000-character classic too, but not by just reading from the book. The heir is playful and cannot sit still, so I integrate it into play. Piling sand to make a mountain helps him learn the character for mountain. Pouring water to make a pool helps him see the nature of water. Using the story of 4-year-old Kong Rong yielding the pear in a game teaches him about humility. Books are dead, but people are alive. Teaching should be appropriate. Children have different natures. The heir is active and curious. To force him to a desk only breeds rebellion. By following his nature and guiding his interest, we plant the seeds of seeking knowledge through games. Once his mind has grown a bit more, and the foundation is set, teaching the way of the sages will be twice as effective with half the effort. It will happen naturally. I said everything in one go, my throat dry, and my back soaked with sweat. The hall fell into silence again. The 3 giants exchanged looks. The initial rejection in their eyes was gone, replaced by scrutiny, reflection, and even a faint trace of approval. Consort Shen's words, though simple, hit the mark. When educating children, we must not just pull at seedlings to help them grow. We must nurture their roots first, nurture their interest and teach through joy, guide them according to their hearts. Watching the heir lately, find him different from before. Lively but not unwise, innocent yet sensible. This method may have its merits. Tutor Li put down the cloth book, let out a long breath, and his gaze toward me actually had a hint of warmth. Chancellor Wang also nodded repeatedly. Walking out of the Manhwa Palace side hall, the early summer sun felt warm on me, but I felt like I'd just been fished out of the water. My legs were shaking. On the carriage back to the manor, I leaned against the side and closed my eyes. My mind still replaying those 3 elders' profound gazes. Heaven knows how I made it out alive. Back at my salted fish courtyard, Qiming rushed over like a little cannonball. He grabbed my leg, looked up, and asked, "Consort, were they mean?" I was stunned. How did he know I went to see the emperor's people after you entered the palace? The heir was restless, muttering that he was scared for you, saying there were scary old grandpas at the emperor's place. Nanny Zhang explained with a smile. My heart warmed, and I crouched to pinch his soft cheek. Don't be afraid. The grandpas aren't mean anymore. Really? Yes. I picked him up and pointed to the pomegranate tree just starting to bear green fruit. Look, the pomegranate flowers were fiery red. Were they pretty? Now it's bearing fruit. It's green and hard. Not pretty. But when autumn comes, it will turn red and sweet. Inside, it's full of seeds like red rubies. The grandpas are like this pomegranate tree. They have so much knowledge in their heads. Just like the green fruit. They look serious and hard to get close to, but once we slowly understand them, we will find they are full of sweet treasures. Qiming only half understood, blinking his large eyes. Treasures? Yes, treasures. I kissed his forehead. The storm of the Manhwa Palace lecture spread in a way I didn't expect. Supposedly, after the 3 tutors returned, they deliberated for several days, and then a compromise curriculum, combining traditional recitation with Consort Shen's interesting education methods, was quietly trialed among the young imperial children. The results seemed good. At least the emperor didn't fly into a rage over the little prince's lessons anymore. My reputation in the manor And even in certain corners of the palace became even more bizarre. From salted fish consort, no, I was now the parenting expert consort Shen. Even Xiao Chengji's gaze toward me became increasingly complex. Probing and scrutinizing. With a depth I couldn't quite read. Days passed in Kaiming's 100,000 whys. Consort, why do birds fly? Because they have wings, and want to see higher and further places. Then can Qiming fly? This is a bit hard. But we can make a big kite. And let it fly for you. Consort, why are flowers red? Maybe because Grandpa's son kissed them too much. Then if Qiming is kissed a lot, will he turn red? If you're kissed too much, it'll only leave marks. My salted fish brain was being squeezed for juice every day. The change happened on an autumn afternoon. A person from the palace arrived, not the usual eunuch, but the most capable old chief steward by the emperor's side. He brought a message. The envoy from the northern Fanshu kingdom was about to arrive. The mission included that kingdom's most beloved little prince, of a similar age to Qiming, the emperor intended for the palace, to let the two young children spend time together. On the surface, it was children playing, but in reality, it was a subtle competition. After all, the little prince represented the dignity of Fanshu, and Qiming represented the grace and future of the great empire. His Majesty says the prince's air is bright and kind, and it pleases him. This meeting concerns national dignity. He hopes Consort Shen will guide him well. The chief steward looked at me, his tone gentle yet heavy as lead. After hearing it, my back was instantly covered in cold sweat. Your Majesty, you really think too highly of this salted fish, letting 2 3 to 4-year-old toddlers represent national dignity. This pressure was 100 times greater than lecturing at the tutor's courtyard. On the day of the banquet, Linda Hall was decorated brilliantly, with music filling the air. Royals and officials were gathered. The mission from Fanshu sat below. Beside the lead bearded envoy sat a little boy in ornate ethnic clothes, with curly hair and brown eyes. That was the little prince, Hashina. He looked around curiously, his eyes full of spirit, clearly not an easy child. Qiming was held by me, sitting below Xiao Qingji. It was the little guy's first time at such a grand banquet. His head turned here and there, everything was fresh to him. But he was well behaved and didn't run around. Only his chubby hand gripped my finger tightly. After 3 rounds of wine, when the atmosphere was at its peak, the emperor spoke with a smile. His voice resonated through the hall. I am very pleased today. I hear Prince Hashina and my nephew Qiming are of similar age. Both are adorable. Why not let the 2 little friends come forward and enjoy themselves? Here it comes. Every gaze instantly focused on the 2 toddlers. The bearded envoy hurriedly rose to bow, and proudly nudged the little prince. Little prince, go forward. Hashina jumped off his chair, and walked gracefully to the center of the hall. Qiming looked at me. I let go of his hand, and whispered, go ahead, Qiming. Just like making a new friend in the courtyard. Qiming took a deep breath, walked on his short legs to the center too. 2 adorable, well-dressed toddlers stood together. One with curly hair and brown eyes, exotic and charming. The other with black hair and black eyes, spirited and cute. A low sound of admiration filled the hall. Good, good. Do you 2 friends have any games you are good at? Would you like to play together? The emperor laughed. The translator conveyed the emperor's words to Hashina. Hashina's eyes lit up, and he rattled off a string of words. To your Majesty, the little prince says the children of the grasslands are best at wrestling. He wants to compete in wrestling with the air. Wrestling? The hall instantly went silent. Everyone's expression changed. Letting 2 3 to 4-year-old children wrestle in the Golden Hall? Winning would look like bullying the small, and losing would damage the empire's face. This Fanshu prince might look innocent, but the challenge was tricky. The smile on the emperor's face remained unchanged as he looked at Qiming. Qiming, are you willing to play this wrestling game with the prince? Everyone's heart was in their throat. Xiao Chengji's hand on his knee clenched slightly. My heart was in my throat, as well. Although Qiming was sturdy, Hashina looked leaner and stronger, and Qiming had never wrestled before. Qiming blinked his large eyes, looked at the eager Hashina, then turned back to look at me, his eyes clear and questioning. My nails dug into my palms inside my sleeve. In a flash, countless images flashed through my mind. Kaiming's focus watching ants, his joy pointing at clouds like cotton candy, his muttering about the moon convoy, and the ugly turtle he drew. An idea leapt out like a last resort. I met Kaiming's gaze, and gave an almost imperceptible shake of my head, then silently mouthed one word. Kaiming's eyes instantly lit up. He turned back to the emperor, his voice clear and bright. Grandpa Emperor, Qiming won't wrestle. The hall went into an uproar. The bearded envoy's face showed a trace of imperceptible pride. The emperor's gaze grew serious. Oh, why? Because Qiming and Hashina are friends. Friends don't fight. He paused, pointed his chubby finger at his own eyes, then at Hashina's brown eyes. Hashina's eyes are pretty. The translator hurriedly conveyed this. Hashina was stunned, subconsciously touching his eyes. His little face showing a hint of shyness and happiness at being praised. Qiming likes to draw. Hashina, let's draw together. Draw honey eyes. Draw big horses, and tall houses, okay? After hearing the translation, Hashina's eyes lit up too. He was clearly much more interested in drawing than wrestling. He immediately nodded and babbled, gesturing excitedly. Good, good. Friends don't fight. Drawing together is excellent. Bring brush, ink, and silk. Immediately, a low table was set up with silk spread out. Pure white silk, paint, and brushes were prepared. Under everyone's watchful eyes, the two toddlers lay side by side on the giant silk. Qiming picked up the brush, dipped it in brown paint, and drew a crooked but spirited horse. Not to be outdone, Hashina drew a curly-haired sheep beside it. Though it looked more like a ball of yarn, Qiming drew another round head, dotted with a pair of brown honey eyes, representing Hashina. Hashina giggled happily and drew a round head too, dotting it with black eyes to represent Qiming. The two little heads huddled together. You draw a stroke, I add a line. The language barrier didn't affect them at all. Laughter, babbling, and childish chatter filled the hall. A scroll of friendship, full of childish charm, vibrant colors, and extremely abstract art, slowly unfolded in the golden hall. There was no sharp-edged tension, only the innocent laughter of children, and the rustling of brush tips. The tense atmosphere in the hall instantly melted. The emperor clapped and laughed. Wonderful. This painting should be kept in the palace. This moment should be a fine story for both countries. The pride on the bearded envoy's face had long vanished. Looking at his little prince's heartfelt, happy smile, he rose and bowed deeply to the emperor in sincere admiration. The empire is blessed with a kind and wise heir. The little prince feels right at home. The Wu kingdom will forever remember this grace. A contest that could have hidden a storm dissolved into the brushes and laughter of two children. Xiao Chengji's tense shoulders finally relaxed. He turned to look at me. Across the noisy crowd, his gaze was as deep as an abyss. The emotions churning within were more complex than I had ever seen. Shock, inquiry, understanding, and an indescribable trace of heat. After the palace banquet, we returned to the manor. The night was deep. I coaxed the overexcited Qiming to sleep, who was still muttering about honey eyes in his dreams. I was so tired I felt like I was falling apart. Just as I stepped out of his small room, I saw Xiao Qingji under the moonlight, standing with his hands behind his back under the pomegranate tree in my courtyard. The ground was covered in pale moonlight. Your Highness, my heart skipped a beat. He turned around. The moonlight outlined his cold profile, but his eyes were brighter and deeper than the moon. In the hall today, did you teach him that? I only gave the heir a choice. A word for draw. Why? I lowered my eyes. I fell silent for a moment, then looked up at him. Because the heir likes it. Because drawing needs no words. Minds can be sick and bodies eventually hurt, but ink and brush can last forever. Xiao Qingji stared at me intently, his gaze sharp, as if trying to pierce through my skin, to see what was inside. Shen Jinjia, since you entered the manor, you've been well behaved, living like a salted fish. I only thought you were without ambition, dull and boring. It was the first time he had called me by my full name. He took a step forward, his tall figure looming over me, carrying an overwhelming pressure. You hide so deeply. I don't need to argue, he interrupted me, his tone carrying a trace of playfulness. When you debated the scholars in the hall, I thought you were just clever. Today, turning hostility into peace in the Golden Hall, I am truly curious. He reached out, his long fingers cool with the night wind, gently lifting my chin, forcing me to look directly into his bottomless eyes. This salted fish side consort of mine. How many more surprises are there that I don't know about? Xiao Qingji left, leaving me alone in the cold moonlight. The cold sweat on my back felt chilly in the wind. His last sentence, and that look, were like an invisible net, trapping me, a salted fish who just wanted to sunbathe on the beach. Firmly inside, days seemed to return to normal. Yet something was completely different. Xiao Chengji's visits to my courtyard increased significantly. Sometimes he came in the evening to see Qiming, sometimes in the afternoon using official business as an excuse, spreading his files on the stone table in my yard. Most of the time, he just sat there in silence, watching me tell Qiming those unconventional stories. watching me take Qiming to place twigs across the yard, count ants, watch clouds, and water flowers. His gaze was always heavy, resting on me. Probing, scrutinizing, with a kind of focus I couldn't understand. The pressure was immense. This salted fish, was forced under his nose, to continue the difficult task of raising the kid online. On Qiming's 5th birthday, the palace sent generous rewards. The emperor even issued a special decree allowing me to take Qiming to play for a day at the royal deer garden. It was considered a reward for a master child rearer. The deer garden was nestled by mountains and water, with exquisite scenery, and many gentle Sika deer roaming freely. Qiming was as excited as a frolicking puppy, chasing after the deer herd. I sat on a blue stone to the west, watching his small figure running in the sunlight. I felt a rare sense of peace. "It seems you like it here." A deep voice sounded beside me. I didn't need to turn around to know who it was. Xiao Qingji had arrived at some point. He sat down beside me, so close I could smell the faint, crisp scent of pine and cypress on him. "Your Highness is busy with 1,000 matters, yet you have time to idle here, stealing half a day of leisure from a floating life." He actually finished the quote. The stream gurgled, and sunlight filtered through the leaves like scattered gold. Qiming's laughter drifted over with the wind. The atmosphere was eerily harmonious. "Shinjinjia, yes? When you first entered the manor, did you have any resentment?" He suddenly spoke. I was stunned for a moment. I didn't expect him to ask about resentment. I curled my lips into a smile. "Your Highness must be joking. Thunder, rain, or dew, it's all the master's grace." To be honest, his voice deepened. I fell silent for a moment, watching a small fish swim through the stream. I resented my parents for using me as a pawn to climb higher. I resented my own inability to resist. And I resented your Highness for treating me as nothing. I paused, not looking at him. Xiao Qingji didn't speak. A long time passed, so long that I thought the topic had ended. Only then did he speak softly. "It was my fault." I turned to look at him in shock. But he wasn't looking at me. His gaze was on Qiming chasing the deer herd in the distance, his eyes deep, carrying a kind of nostalgic pain. When Qiming's mother died, my heart turned to ashes. I felt there were no more attachments in this world. You entering the manor was just another wife for my father and ministers to balance power. I hated being manipulated like that, so I took it out on you, ignoring you, and throwing Qiming to you. He turned his head, his gaze finally falling back on my face. Those eyes that were always as cold as winter now reflected the shimmering light of the stream, and actually held a heavy warmth. "I never thought you would teach him so well. I also never thought my stagnant path in life would, because of a salted fish like you, come back to life." The stream tinkled, and the sunlight was so warm it made me dizzy. His words were like a pebble thrown into the lake of my heart, stirring up ripples. I opened my mouth, but couldn't say a single word. Since returning from the deer garden, between me and Xiao Qingji, there seemed to be a thin layer of paper that would break at a touch. He didn't mention the words from that day again, but he came to my yard even more frequently. Sometimes he would even stay after Qiming slept, sitting quietly opposite me for a while, drinking a cup of tea, saying a few trivial words, or just remaining silent. The atmosphere was subtle and peaceful, until that day. A family letter from Jiangnan shattered the salted fish fortress I had finally rebuilt. The letter was from my mother, the handwriting scrawled and stained with tears. The letter said my father was involved in a minor political storm. Though his life wasn't in danger, his superior had found fault with him, and he was demoted and exiled. He would soon depart for the desolate land of Lingnan. My mother was worried sick, and having no other options, she could only write to me in tears. "Lingnan is far away, overrun with miasma. My parents are old. Once they go," I gripped the letter, my fingertips cold. Though I resented their past coldness, we were connected by blood. I couldn't remain indifferent. "What is it that troubles you?" Xiao Chengji's voice sounded at the door. He had finished the morning court early. I instinctively tried to hide the letter, but he keenly caught it. "Give it to me." His tone brooked no argument. I hesitated for a moment, then handed the letter over. He scanned it quickly, his brow furrowing. "Your father?" "Yes." I didn't say anything else. My nails dug deep into my palms. "Save him? With what?" A powerless side consort in a prince's manor, begging the man before her? But why? What right did I have to beg him? For a father I wasn't close to, who had once used me as a pawn. Xiao Qingji looked at my pale face and clenched fists, his gaze dim regarding this matter. "I understand," he said only this, then folded the letter into his sleeve and turned to leave. For the next few days, I was restless. There was no news from Xiao Chengji's side. The day for my parents' departure drew closer, and my heart sank bit by bit. Right, why should he help me? It was just a side consort's father. Was a demoted official worth his effort? Just as I was in despair, preparing to write to my mother to sell our belongings, to bribe the escort staff as much as possible, Uncle Fu rushed into my yard with a joyful face. Side consort, great news, great news. The master, he doesn't have to go to Lingnan anymore. What? I stood up abruptly. News just came. The Ministry of Justice found flaws in the evidence of the master's case, and it's been sent back for a retrial. The master is reinstated to his original post. I stood there in a daze, my ears ringing. Is it the prince? That goes without saying. Besides our prince, who has such power? The prince must have. Uncle Fu was beaming. Uncle Fu. A deep voice interrupted him. Xiao Qingji was standing at the yard entrance. Uncle Fu immediately went quiet, bowed with a smile, and retreated. Only the two of us were left in the yard. I looked at him, my throat tight. 1,000 words stuck in my chest, finally turning into a deep bow. I thank your highness for your great kindness. He walked up to me, his tall figure carrying an invisible pressure. No need to thank me. Your father's matter was indeed suspicious. I only spoke out for justice. I looked up at him. Speaking out for justice? How could it be such a coincidence? I helped you. For my own reasons. What reasons? I asked instinctively. Xiao Qingji leaned down slightly, his warm breath brushing past my ear, his voice low, and filled with an undeniable strength. Since you entered my manor. In life, you are my person. In death, you are my ghost. Your person and your troubles naturally belong to me. My parents' crisis was over, but it seemed I, the salted fish, could never flip over again. I was clearly stamped by Xiao Qingji as his property. Life went on. Qiming grew day by day, still my biggest troublemaker. Yet he became the brightest beam of light in my dull life. Xiao Qingji, well, he became a permanent resident in my yard, sometimes reviewing piles of documents, sometimes testing Qiming's schoolwork using my unconventional methods, and more often just staying in silence, like a solid, silent mountain. Another spring. At the 100 Flowers banquet in the Imperial Garden, the Emperor was in high spirits. Amidst the drinking and warmth, he held the 6-year-old Qiming, who was like a tall little pine tree, on the dragon throne. His gaze swept over Xiao Qingji and me below, and he laughed loudly. Prince Jing, I see that Qiming is wise and kind, just like his father. And even more so because of his mother's meticulous upbringing. He is truly a Qilin son of our Xiao family. He deliberately emphasized the words his mother. His smiling gaze landed on me. Every eye in the hall focused on me instantly, filled with scrutiny, envy, and realization. I felt like I was sitting on pins and needles. Xiao Qingji, however, remained calm. He rose and cupped his hands. Brother, you praise him too much. Qiming's character relies on the grace of the royal family and his mother's care. He calmly acknowledged my status. The emperor nodded in satisfaction. Then he changed the subject. Qiming is growing up. He is exceptionally clever. I intend to choose a fine teacher for him, to start his formal education. What do you think? A clear, childish voice interrupted the emperor. Qiming slipped from his embrace, ran to my side with a pitter-patter, grabbed my arm, and said loudly with his little face raised. Qiming doesn't want a teacher. Qiming has Nyang. Nyang is the best. She teaches Qiming about flowers, bugs, and drawing. And she even teaches Qiming how to be a person. He said the word person especially loudly. The hall went silent. The emperor was stunned, then burst into a hearty laugh. Ha ha ha. Good, a person. Fine. The child has a sincere heart. How can I go against it? Prince Jing, Lady Shen, Qiming's education will still be your responsibility. I shall wait and see. After the banquet, I held Qiming's hand as we walked down the long corridor toward the palace gate. The setting sun stretched our shadows very long. Qiming chattered about the banquet. Nyang. Emperor Uncle praised Qiming's character. Yes, Qiming is great. Nyang is the best. I looked down at his bright smile, my heart melting. Salted fish princess, child-rearing master, none of that matters anymore. Look. Qiming suddenly stopped, pointing at a small sprout, tenaciously growing out of a gap in the palace wall. It's growing. The sun shines on it. And it grows tall. I followed his finger. That bit of tender green under the vermilion wall was tiny yet full of life. Just like me, a salted fish thrown into the deep palace by fate, forced into a job but unexpectedly taking root. I knelt down and looked at the little sprout with Chiming. The sunlight felt warm on my body. Yes, even a salted fish can be well done if it sunbathes enough.